Welcome to the official part 1 of my guitar modification hot rod. I still haven't thought of a name of it series. Where we take this guitar body and make it awesome. As you can see, I've taken out all the electronics and spared you guys the time of watching all that crap. And what I'm going to do now is take off the paint, because I plan on repainting this whole thing in a really crazy ass way. So once again, stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, how am I going to do this? Now, this paint is a modern gloss finish, which means that this thing is very thick. So obviously you could theoretically sand it, but it would take a lot of time and effort. So I'm going to use chisel and good old-fashioned heat gun to get the job done. So basically the idea is that I'm going to take the heat gun, heat up an area, and then just take off little bits of the finish. Very simple, very easy. The only thing is that you need to keep the heat gun moving in a continuous pattern so that you don't burn the material. So without further ado, let's give it a shot. Now, if you haven't done this before, I suggest you try it on the back, as I'm doing here, since I haven't technically tried this either. Now, this gun is a tad bit old, so it may take a while to heat up, but think of this thing as just a hairdryer on absolute crack. There we go. Now, as you can see already, this thing is taking a while to take off just because of that really thick finish. So this is going to be a very lengthy process, but obviously not an impossible process. So I'm going to get started on this, see if I could get this rolling a little bit, and then catch you guys later. As you can see, the finish is finally starting to flake off. I'm not using the best method to do this, because you don't want to, if you're trying to just repaint your guitar, you typically don't want to take chips out of the wood itself. So you should be a little more careful than I'm being, but you'll understand why I'm not being as careful when I do end up showing you the whole paint process. But for now, you can see how easy this is coming off in just big chunks. Sorry if the camera is shaking a little bit. But just takes a little bit of effort, a little elbow grease to get this done. You can see that big space that's already coming off, revealing that gorgeous, gorgeous basswood body underneath it. So, I'm going to keep on working on it and see where it takes us. Hopefully it goes well. See, I have a fairly large portion of the back all cleaned up. Obviously a bunch of chisel marks as it was going over the grain in awkward directions. And this part got a little bit toasty, but with some sanding, it's not going to make a difference, and since it's going to be underneath a whole bunch of paint anyways, no one's going to see it, and it's on the backside, so, who cares? So now I've flipped the orientation of it so that I could get the rest of this stuff off, so that I can finally move on to the front and then the sides. I would recommend that you take breaks while you're doing this, because it can be very tiring. Like, this thing weighs a good, I don't know, 3-4 pounds, and just constantly holding that and trying to chip this finish off, it takes a little bit of work, but as you can see, it's starting to flake off very easily. Nice big chunks. So it's going all right. It's going all right. Just gotta keep working at it. So as you can see, the back is almost completely cleaned off. Obviously, these little bits in here I'll just have to sand or leave. It's not too big of a deal. And then this little corner is giving me some trouble because the chisel that I'm using is wider than this is, so it doesn't quite fit, but it doesn't matter anyways. It's on the back. But you can see it's a little beat up, but it is what it is. Not too big of a deal. The next step I believe I should do is the sides, which is going to pose a whole different slew of issues, mainly trying to get it clamped up. Should be slightly difficult, and then keeping it stable while I'm going and working on it. But it is what it is. Keep persevering on. Almost there, almost done. So you can see the edge of this is looking all right. It's a little chipped out, especially like down here on the end grain, but it'll work. Sanding is not my strong suit, and it's not very fun, but it'll work. Same thing up here. As you can see, it's all very, very chipped and beat up, but once again, my chisel just can't fit into those spaces, so I'll have to do that by hand, which is alright. I got the majority of the stuff off. Now on to the difficult part. You know, doing all this crap. Should be fun. You can see this paint on the front is coming off a lot easier. Still a few nicks and a few chips, but that's okay. Once again, I'm foreshadowing a lot towards my really crazy ass paint scheme. If you're seeing this way in the future, just go watch that. But yeah, I want to kind of keep that secret, leave you guys on the edge of your seat, see what I have planned. But those chips are not going to be an issue. I'm still going to sand it just so that when I put down, you know, when I put down my paint, it'll stick well enough, and put down my primer, it'll stick well enough. But for the most part, I'm not too worried about it. I think it'll be fine. And yeah, back to peeling all this crap up we go. So the majority of the paint is all gone, chipped away. Obviously the horns right there aren't the best, but you know, it is what it is. I'm actually fairly happy with how it turned out. Nicks and dings aside, I think it went fairly well. I have a bunch of blisters now, but you know, it's just going to take a little bit of sanding and a little bit of elbow grease to get all this down. Yeah, I think that it turned out pretty well. So next step is going to be sanding. How fun. So I'm going to start out on the back with an old beat up piece of sandpaper. Just because, you know, it's not going to matter as much as the front, so figuring that this would probably work better than a brand new piece. And why waste a brand new piece on a cruddy old back? So, without further ado, here goes nothing. So the body's looking pretty good. It's sanded enough to where I can, you know, put my paint on and, you know, not have it be too bad and not have it be that affected. All this gray stuff down here, I don't know if you can see that. My lighting's kind of crap in this garage. That's all just powder from these little inset pieces that are used for the bridge and the strings, because I wanted to give them kind of a beat up look, more of a, not polished, but just a very, very roughly brushed aluminum. So I did that on the front and also on the back. Now, still using my little palm sander, what I'm going to do is, you could already see where I started. I'm gonna take off this harsh edge so that I can rest my arm there and, you know, play pretty rough without scuffing it up and hurting myself. So yeah, get that going, put that little edge on there, and then I'll be done sanding. Get on to painting. Should be fun. Let's go. Kind of easy to figure out, just going in a back and forth pattern around this edge. You just kind of go and round it off until you feel comfortable with it. Very simple and easy to do. And the way you test it out is you set it to a spot where you would be playing and see how it feels, and this feels pretty good. I rounded it quite dramatically over here on this edge. So it's almost like a 3-layered bevel on here. I have the first layer, which kind of goes around the whole body a little bit, but it's a little bit more pronounced here. And then another one that's at a little bit more of a steep angle, and then another just to take off that edge that's going around it. So that's about it for today. Done sanding. Got all the electronics out, obviously. And now we are finally ready to go and paint this bad boy. The fun part. The part that I have been leading up to and hinting at for a very long time. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am. If you are, make sure you click that subscribe button. Hit like, you know. Help out the channel a little bit. Help spread the word. Because I love doing this, but it really helps to see that others enjoy what I do as well. So with that, you guys, thank you for watching. Think for yourself, and I will see you next time.